Good Lord. It is. It's more Diana. Right, in this episode, seat trim, rear axle, possibly get onto carb tune. We'll see how we get on. Enjoy. This is not a lesson, by the way. This is not an instructional video on how to put these seat covers on. This is me doing it. Learn from my mistakes. Don't follow my mistakes. So, the way these are done is that, I'll turn it over, there's big lumps of foam, quite hard foam, that have been sewn in, box pleated into the box pleat. And then we've got little, like quite rigid plastic strips that go and hold the whole thing together. And on the ends here, you will see, there's a bloody great big piece of foam. Now, what I found on the front seats was that the bloody great big piece of foam was about 3 times the size it needed to be. So, quite why, I don't know. This one, however, doesn't appear to be as bad. That seems to fit in there. And then a bit of calico underneath it. And then the other side, you see, if I kind of pull the foam around, you can see how much the foam overlaps the edges. It doesn't really on the back seat cover. It did on the fronts, but I think on the fronts, I think that there are some assumptions as to whether or what seat foams you're working with to start off with. So what I'm doing here is tucking the seat foam into the corner, getting the cover in the right way round, flip it over, present it. Now, one of the things that's going to be a challenge for us, I think, is going to be that the whole bloody thing is glued on. There are no clips. And I think this will be a challenge. That said, switches on. Very bloody nicely. Holy shit. Fucking hell, look at that. My boots. So really all I've done here, and that then once we pull down the seat tight, we don't want baggy, but nor do I want it loose. Now what I found on the front seats also was that these white strips that go in along these bits here, they were kind of interfering with the front edge, the back edge and so forth. So what I'm possibly going to do here is I'm quite happy really, with a tiny bit of manipulation. This other piece here will be in, the other end piece will be up and in. Probably could do with going forwards a bit. Push the foam forwards, not the cover. That's looking better. Let's do the same here. That's actually starting to look reasonable. Is there a way that I can clip this on? See what's happening here? I can see what's happening already. Is that the foam has not gone far enough forward, so this cannot go right over. Almost looks like these corner pieces need to go in first. Now, there are no cuts on this thing, so it really is down to me being brave when it comes to putting this thing together. I'm actually inclined, I think, to stretch this front one first of all. Oopsie. What's happened there is the frame is very, very lightly distorted there. That's better. If I were to, I think that might work actually. Or am I going to go too, if I pull that too far? It's a $64 million question really. What we need is a coffee. Hard one can come off. So perhaps if I hold that on there so that the trim line at the back there is in line with the back of the seat. Let me do that because I've got some trim clips. Stays there, that's going in line all the way along the back. This one's going to come up and over. Right, so that's done this back edge. So the back edge is now in line with the back seam. Got to start somewhere, folks. Push them over. So what I've basically done there is I've pulled that piece down. That actually looks quite good, doesn't it? There. It's up a bit to size, and once that gets pulled down and glued into place, I think we'll be okay at the back. So it's the front edge I need to worry about now. So I need to really pull it as tight as it will go, and then put a clip on it. I haven't got any clips ready. Boom, boom, boom. I have got a bag of these somewhere, but honestly, for the sake of 5 minutes of me looking around the workshop trying to find them and you listening to me shouting, I'll reuse these old sequins. Bang that on there. Get on, you fucker. Right. Now a little bit of a problem in that the cover's creased along the front edge. These really needs to. Which way does that need to go? That wants to go that way. So let's pull that like that. I don't want that to move. I want that to go over there, and I want that clip to go on there. Now, this side. The foam's got itself a bit squashed on this edge, but it's straightening itself out. Bang that bastard on there. Not bad. Now, I think the next problem I kind of had with this was these strips, these plastic strips, end up being, see that one there? They end up being a little bit too long. And what they do is they push the cover up like this. And what I don't want it to do, you see, is to be bulging out of the front like these ones are. But maybe they're supposed to. I'll have to look at the covers I went on to Project Alan. Right, that can go there. Seat base, which is this one. But it all sort of fits up in there. Right, so it's fairly typical stuff this. All you really need to do is spray both faces. Leave it 30 seconds, put it on. Not breathing it in, of course. Put some around here as well. This is where all the glue was originally, yeah? Right, you got right face. Okay, so I've been basically going around gluing this thing down because I'm not going to be able to fit this in the car tomorrow. And this glue, it's good. I think it needs about 24 hours before it goes tight. So really all I've done here, you see I've pulled this edge around and now I've got this flap here, which, yeah, I can glue it down 4 ways if I wanted to, but what I'm inclined to do here is, oh, he's cutting it! Oh my god, stop the gibbon! Cut it there, and cut it there. And I end up with a flap, which can go up like that, you see. So let's lob a bit of glue in there, and on here. This piece here is glued down already. And then, having done the 2 corners, I'm going to knock these clips off and actually glue it along the front here and then put the clips back on again. Just to hold everything in place. And then once I've got the front as I want it to be, then it's just simply a case then of getting the back down. So just hold that down there for a minute. I'll have a slurp of coffee. No chocolate squares here, I'm afraid, unfortunately. Now, what I'll do here, let me knock off, if I knock off this one, because I know roughly what it's going back to, and then take that. It's pretty much staying where it should anyway now. Let's take that one off as well then. Is. Right, so let's work my way. Whoops, I'm just knocking everything over here. Gibbon. Right, let's work up here. Let that lot go off. And I'll pull these 2 clips off now. Hopefully it's not all going to go. And then what I'll do is once it's all glued down, I can take these clips out and see the holes and the screws that go to. This is a bit of a faff really, putting the cover on when that's like that. Oh my goodness. It's now 6:10. Almost had enough of this game, I tell you. At least it's getting there. It's happening. It's happening. Right now, that wants to pull back over, and the clip went on there. And that one wants to pull over, and the clip went there. You can see how knackered my hands are to push these bloody clips on. I think it's because it's got cold. I've just got no sense of feeling now. No common sense either. The man is an idiot. Right, now, where I have got like a big flap like that, all I do there is cut it away, but then just lay it down flat. That works, you see. I'm going to have another one at the other end. Oh, there's a clip. A spare clip, I fear. Here's a spare clip. Like that. And then that sort itself out for a minute. And I'll wait till everything's gone dry, and I can sort the back piece out. Right, well that's it screwed onto its base now. I'm pretty chuffed with that. I think that's all right actually. I need to really get it into the car and work out, just make sure all these bits are behaving themselves. But no, I'm pretty pleased with the way that's turned out. Not expert trimming, didn't make the covers, bought the covers, fitted the covers, happy. Right then, today's job, with lighting courtesy of James, thank you James, is this rear axle. So that's the pivot for the A-frame that goes into the top of the back axle. As you can see, the gator is utterly shagged, properly shagged. So I'm going to need to get that bastard off. They're never fun at the best of times. And I think what I might do is I might take the entire BOGE unit out. We'll see if it's working, because I need to take the bottom ball joint off. But I'll go through it as I go through to replace that ball joint. It's not a world of fun. Now, the good news is we can actually see the nut the way it's sitting right now. But ultimately what will need to happen is I'll need to get the axle down as low as it will go, and I will need to support the chassis as high as it will go. So what I generally do is put the axle stands forwards of the rear axle, and we'll work on it that way round. And I was going to do trimming today, but I've decided, actually, no, do you know what I'm going to do today? Is I'm going to do this back axle, because the weather's kind of caught me unaware a little bit, because I know it's November and all that. I know it's cold in November, but the temperature suddenly kind of dropped from, you know, days where we get 19 degrees down to days when we get 2 degrees. So, that said, I've got to take the back bumper as well, because there's no back bump on it. That said, today it's about 10 degrees. So even though I've got my silly hat on, yes. Right, I'll crack on with this. I'm going to get the back wheels off and get the axle in the right place first of all. I think that's the first thing to do, isn't it? Right, a quick walk around of the archaeology. A-frame goes to a pivot on the chassis up here, forwards, backwards, back axle. Now, while I'm under here, yeah, that's quite a lot of gloop up there, isn't it? There's also quite a lot of gloop here on the bottom of the axle, and gloop coming out around the back end of the disc here. So I am going to go with bunged up breather. I'll undo that in a minute, and I'll probably hear a great big so I'll change the breather. It's not uncommon for them to get bunged up, but that's basically what happens then, is it shoots all the oil out as it heats up. So I need to check the oil level on this thing as well. Now, I've supported the chassis just around each of the kind of the rear radius arm training arm drag link, whatever you call this thing. My brain is just not working today, I'm afraid, folks. So a couple of hefty axle stands secured in place, happy with that. Now I've got 4 bolts up here. It's all a bit access tight up here at the moment, but 4 long bolts that go right through this chassis rail here, cross member, that's part of the chassis, with nuts on this side, and they support the top bracket on the BOGE levelling strut. Then you've got 2 big long bolts here which secure the A-frame arms onto the lower pivot for the BOGE. So discos that don't have the BOGE basically have the same pivot, the same A-frame mountings and these bolts here, but they don't have this piece, this extension piece on here. And this piece here is only there as a bottom link for the BOGE. So at the moment, the axle on this side is hanging off the damper. I might be inclined just to put an axle stand underneath it just to take the strain off the damper. I don't really want to be fucking the damper up, do I? And on the other side, it's just resting on a jack. But I needed access on this side in order to get in there and undo all these pissing bolts. Then we're going to have fun with the actual pivot bolt, which is a tapered fit into the top of the axle. Now, normally a fair few swings with a hammer while I'm levering up on the thing with a jemmy gets them free. They are a pain in the balls though, so what I'm going to do really before that is make sure I've got all of the bolts at the top here loosened, not removed, so I don't want the full weight of the BOGE coming down when I loosen that pivot over there, and then undo the A-frame arms, loosen those as well. Right, there you go, plenty of access. Little wire brusher is ideal for getting all the crap off the threads before I get in there. Oh yes, right, stopping recording, music's going back on again. Sorry folks, I get copyright strikes otherwise. There it is, it's off. Oh good lord, good news is the BOGE unit is still tight and stiff for now. It needs a good clean up, so I'm going to give it a quick spray over, wipe it clean, have my lunch I think. But yeah, it's all fairly straightforward stuff. You can see the A-frame arms, just about see the A-frame arms there. They've moved in an upward position, so when it all goes back together again, there's a little bit of kind of jacking up axles to get things to line up when it all goes back together again. No nasty shocks. Leave the dampers in place, otherwise you end up doing shit like that. Yes. Right, out of breath now. Right, I've got him apart, so give him obviously a damn good clean up. Gate is in good order, BOGE in good order. Now, if you want to know whether these things are good or not, if you can compress them at all, they're not. That one's in good order, okay? Cleaned up really nice. It's all original paint, isn't it? In order to get the ball joint open on the end there, I have got my special 5/8 spanner, which is a Hokey Cokey 5000 drop forged, high top spanner, and I've had to grind the edges off it to make it flat enough so it can get onto the edges of the ball joint here, yeah, quite tight, and allow a 3/4 spanner to go on the end of the damper in order to undo it. The ball joint at this end is in good order, and this end. So the only ball joint I've really got a problem with is this one, which, to be honest, it does move, and it does appear to be in good order. It's just the seal that's failed. So I'm going to see if I can just replace the seal on this. Right, too much indecision here, Richard. We've got a brand spanking new joint. Delphi Technology, country of origin Turkey. We've got a joint inside the existing arm, which is more than serviceable. It is tight, but there's no play in it. Bit more lube in there, and that's going to be fine. So I'm inclined not to change the joint, and then I've got this one, which is the disco version of exactly the same joint, but as you can see, it's got a nice boot on it. Do you reckon we can put that boot on there? Because this to me is useless, you see. Oh my goodness, what do we reckon? I reckon it's got to be worth a go. Let me just go and see if I've got another one of these on the shelf that's already fitted out. But at the moment it looks like I can save this by using a part that is of no use to me. And now I know that that's good, and the nut's good. Let's find the end of the metal clip, which is down here. Persuade him over the lip and around. Dun, 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 dun. And then persuade the seal out of the gap, ouch, that he's sitting in. Fucker. That was better. He's out. it up and off the taper, we can. Bastard. There we are, he's off. Well, it looks like a bit more grease in there, and pop him on. Job done. Right, let's put this in a bag, just in case, because we may well need him again. La, 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 la. There we are. Greeter will be pleased. We are saving an existing joint. She'll be delighted. Almost here. The cries of joy. The wailing. As this seal goes on to this used ball joint, which has plenty of life left in it. How much more joy is there in the world? In the world! Next, on to the BOGE. No splits. Really good order. Clipping the clip face is there. Clean the crap out of the groove here. No dirt and grit in there, it's all very good. This can go back on. The only thing that's serviceable on these BOGE units, by the way, is the ball joints on the end, so don't fuck around trying to get them open, will you? Is that going to go over the top? Yes. Come on. Right, now, what we need to do here is twist that end over. Because if it doesn't, then I'll need to... Well, it's not really got the correct bits on it, I don't think. It's just going to come off there. Oh, maybe it won't. It's going to stay. Might be inclined to put a zip tie on it. Might be a bit more resilient than the clip. I don't think the clip is... Normally what happens with these clips, they have a longer bit on the end there, and you just flip them over like that, it locks them in place. Alas, it's not the case with this one. So I think that that is not secure enough to prevent the dust cap from popping off, causing me difficulty. So I'll use a zip tie. That's better. That's much better. Right. There we go. Right, the thread's on. Now just use Thinny McThinny spanner to wind the bastard on. This one might actually be a 17. Nope. Yep. 17. Next up odds. I'll just use the super slim spanner just to do the last little bit. Just to nip it up. Please don't put fucking thread lock on these. Just don't. This is already getting tight. The spanner's too fat to go in here. These are a bastard to get off when everything's in situ still, because you've got to angle this in order to get the correct kind of, yeah, just how it goes on, that's good. The correct, come on, brain's not working, Richard. Right, now that is on. There we are, nice and tight. I need to put the gaiter over the bottom half of the joint here. Just goes into a lip on the ball joint itself. And again, I'll use a zip tie. They didn't exist when this was first designed, so they put metal clips on. It's probably something that someone's going to be screaming at the telly about right now, screaming, or ham-fisted gibbon, etc, etc, etc. But fuck it, that's what I do. How very, very dare you? Now, that then goes under there and up there. Right, got it all back on again. As you can see, we're on axle stands onto the axle now. When you're putting these two bolts through the A-frame, these two fellas up here, put the leading one in first. You'll learn the hard way, but basically if you put the trailing one in first, you can't get the leading one in. So what I do is put the leading one in, then jack the back axle up until the trailing one goes through. This fella did him up to 130 foot-pounds. Well, actually did him up to, with the foot-long 30mm spanner, meat hanging off it. And then put a split pin through with a bit of lube on it. Right, so now we're going to get on with this engine breather. So on these early cars, it's just located on top of the axle. Right, listen. Is it going to whiz? Well, it hissed a bit. It's actually broken. I moved the bloody camera. It's actually broken. Bloody thing. So, the amount of oil that is around this axle, I'm inclined to think that there's a problem with this breather. I can blow through it now. Yeah, oil all over my face now. Silly arse. Right, I've probably got another one of these. I'll pop it on. And then I'm going to check the axle oil level. And then I'm going to put this car back on its wheels again. Job done. A nice new seal. Oh, oh, oh. Oh my goodness. My face dirty. It probably should be. Fuck's sake.